Tropical Cyclone Olga has intensified even further, now a Category 3 with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, gusts of 105 miles per hour, and a central pressure of 960 millibars. The storm, like I said, has become what is now a major cyclone. Right now, we have a Category 3, a very well-defined and very impressive tropical cyclone right now, north of the northwestern coast of Australia. As you can clearly see on satellite imagery, we have a very somewhat well-defined eye going on right now. Very obvious, a little raggedy though, but very obvious. Quite an evident eye wall structure, quite an very evident and powerful bands encircling that eye, showing that the center of this organized storm is indeed powerful, especially, and as you can quite clearly see, the general structure altogether is very, very impressive right now. The conditions for the storm right now are very, very ripe. And the storm still could get a little bit more onto it before it begins to weaken, maybe get to 90 or 95 miles per hour or so, which would put it in the middle range Category 3 storm. We're going to get an infrared scan on this first before we move on to our forecasts here, just to show you how impressive things have come. As you can quite clearly see, the eye wall temperatures being negative 75 plus degrees Celsius. Cloud tops almost entirely encircles the eye right now as well. The eye almost completely reaches to the bottom, almost completely defines as a clear hole. As you can quite clearly see, the very, very low clouds in the middle, not exactly non-existent, but they are very, very low. That's a deep eye right there. Very impressive. So now we're going to move on to our forecast models here, provided by the hold on, I didn't reload this, my apologies. Provided by the Tropical Tidbits site. We use this all the time for forecast models. Quite clearly, as you can see, storm gains slightly additional amount of intensity before it begins to weaken very, very quickly. Within only a matter of a couple of days, it weakens, and then the storm, what's left of it, parallels the Australian coast. And a second storm, by the looks of it, could be pretty strong in the northwestern Coral Sea. May slam into the Cape York Peninsula as well, possibly as a Category 1 storm right there. So a little bit of a weaker storm forecasted for landfall on Cape York than was thought earlier this afternoon. And another change being it enters the Gulf of Carpentaria before making landfall on the west coast of Cape York Peninsula and then falling apart. And maybe another cyclone, maybe another broad cyclone right there off the east coast of Australia as well. So we're going to some increasing tropical activity, some increasing late season tropical activity in the Australian region. So we're definitely keeping a very close eye. Wind shear right now underneath the storm is currently about 10 knots at this time, so it hasn't really changed since earlier this afternoon. But as you can, as I've been saying, ahead of the storm right now, there are 25, 30 to 40, and then eventually 50 to 70 knot wind shear, which will tear the storm to shreds, as well as lower water temperatures being 27 to maybe pushing 28 degrees Celsius as the storm heads farther toward the southwest, as at this point. And at this point right now, the storm's currently seeing sea surface temperatures of 28, maybe barely pushing 29, but more of 28 degrees Celsius water temperatures right now underneath the current storm's location. Although approaching toward coastal Australia, it may be 29 or 30 degrees Celsius, but that is not where the storm is located right now. The storm may run into a pocket at 29 here, a couple of small pockets of 29, which, as I said, that may be what's responsible for it gaining maybe 5 or 10 more miles per hour onto its current intensity, but really not much more than that. So that's what we've got right now, except for the cone here. This is the current cone forecast right now being shown. Still forecasting a maximum intensity of 90 miles per hour, so a mid-range Category 3 storm, and still forecasting that paralleling action for the western coastline of Australia, and the quick dissipation as the storm heads into that wind shear environment. But that's all we got for tonight. We'll be back again during the mid to late morning hours of tomorrow, that is American morning anyway. We'll be back instead 12 to 18 hours with another update.